Please introduce yourself.
So my name is Craig Raath. I'm the Executive Director at 21st Century. And what I do is I really look after business development and growth at 21st Century.
So, you have been at 21st Century for nearly 20 years. Tell me about the evolution of the company in that time.
Perfect. So I'm going to start right at the beginning because it's a pretty cool story. It was a company started by our CEO and our chairman. They've known each other as they were childhood friends. Um, and they decided that they wanted to start their own company. And like all successful companies, it started in a garage with a plank of wood and an idea. And that was in the late 90s. At the time, our chairman, Mark Busson, who's now Dr. Mark Busson, Dr. and Professor Mark Busson, he was a specialist in the remuneration field. And at the time, it was a fledgling sector and focus area in the country. And Chris brought the business knowledge. So the division of roles was Chris Blair was going to be the MD of the company, and Mark would be the specialist. And very soon after that, we started a salary survey and went out to the market and basically consulted around how organizations stack up in terms of external equity. So how competitive they are in terms of paying their employees. And then how do you translate that external equity into internal equity? So, how do you defensively differentiate pay decisions? How do you size positions relative to each other in an organization? And how do you put remuneration structures and practices in place that drive the right behaviors so that organizations can achieve their goals? And really stuck to that for about 20 odd years before we diversified and went into other companies. So fast forward to today, Mark Busson and Chris Blair are now Dr. Mark Busson and Dr. Chris Blair. And we've built a really amazing company in terms of the culture and the feel to the place. So although we are one of the very big players in the market, and certainly in the remuneration and reward company have got a really strong brand out there. We've still managed to maintain that family-owned sort of culture in the organization, where it's a cool place to work. But how we've grown since those 20 years, we've gone on a very cool journey for the last 8 years, where we've gone from just being that reward company to starting another 4 PTY limiteds. So we've got the 21st Century Remuneration and Reward. We've got the 21st Century Organizational Design, which looks at strategy and organizations, how that translates into an operating model, and then how that would cascade down into a macro and a micro structure in an organization. The next company we started was a change management company. What that does is it looks at both organizational change and project change, where we're doing they're delivering multi-layered projects. Next company we started was People and Talent, and what that really does is it allows us to go to the market and hand on heart say that we are an end-to-end human capital service provider, and we look at things like performance management, succession planning, talent management, etc. And then the last company is a very exciting one, and our eyes were opened to this by a consultant who's now a director with us, joined us from one of the big global consulting firms and said, "Man, you guys are sitting on this repository of data, but you're only mining it for pay. What about shape of organization, spans of control, and imagine the predictive analytics you could run from this repository of data." So, that company is called 21st Century Analytics, and yeah, so that's our stable now. We also got a very successful training department and a systems department that sits in 21st Century, and Yeah, no, we really are end-to-end human capital a service provider, and we've got a very much a specialist consulting model where we've got consultants that specialize in all those areas, and we don't try and be a jack of all trades, but really do a deep dive into each of those specialist areas.
And what is your reach as a business? Do you only consult locally or internationally as well?
Yeah, so we do consult internationally. I would say our strength is in South Africa. And on the REM business, remuneration business, we've got a live national salary survey. It's updated every single week, so it's completely live data. Um, and we use that for consulting in South Africa and the sort of what we call touch border countries. But we do consult up into the rest of Africa and the Middle East. And we've got consultants on board that are Africa specialists. So we certainly do consult across all of our businesses up into Africa, largely with multinationals that are based here, but also with jobs that we've won in the rest of the continent and the Middle East.
Where to from here for 21st century?
Okay, so we're on a really exciting growth trajectory at the moment. So maybe if I just give a sense of our current client base. We normally count our clients on a 5-year rolling basis, and we always end up at a number around 1,700 active clients in that time frame. We've consulted to about 65% of the JSE. We do a lot of work in the private and the state-owned space across all different sectors, and been involved in some really critical public sector jobs where we've defined pay across the state-owned space. I would say our sweet spot currently is mid-cap organizations. We really feel we can add a lot of value into them, and at the moment we're the largest independent consulting business in our space. But our dream really is to be this homegrown South African solution provider that's able to compete with the traditional big multinational consulting firms that are at local prices, but delivering the same quality as the big multinational firms. I mean, if I just take that analytics business that I was describing earlier, man, the stuff we are doing in there is so mind-blowingly exciting that it's really introducing people analytics to South Africa, and we're really not sophisticated in that space yet. So we're getting a lot of traction and a lot of interest out there in how HR can position themselves in the boardroom and around the executive table by bringing data to the HR function and quantifying the value that HR adds. So we're really getting there. We are closing in on our goal of being the preferred homegrown local provider, and there's some super exciting times ahead. So watch the space. It's a great ride at the moment.